But before we go into that, I want to sort of relate a story to you. Right? We seem to live in a very current hype today. We're always blaming others for our problems. Our mom did this, right? He did that. My friend did this. He did that to me, right? Palestine is in a situation because of Israel, right? Iraq is in a situation because of Bush, Obama, whatever. We're always pointing. But we never tend to remember that when we have one finger pointing to the other person, we have 3 fingers pointing back at us. 3 fingers pointing back at us. Now I want to relate the story of Yunus alayhi salam, right? He was thrown by his own people in the sea. He was then swallowed by a whale. Now for those of you who do, oceanography or biography or any animal sciences, you will know that when a whale swallows you, you suffocate because it's a mammal. You suffocate. When a whale swallows you, you begin to suffocate. And moreover, when you're transferred into the stomach, the pit of the whale, the acid inside that whale is 12 times stronger than the acid in your own stomachs. 12 times. Yet, in this very condition, he was underneath the sea, in the pit of a whale, right? And what did he say? Who did he blame? Who did Yunus alayhi salam blame? Did he say, oh, the people, they were the wrongdoers? Did he say, oh, the whale, he was the wrongdoer? No. What he said, and this is in Surah Anbiya, verse 81, there is no deity except you. Exalted are you. Indeed, I have been of the wrongdoers. I have been of the wrongdoers. Now, we learn a very important lesson from this, right? Yunus alayhi salam, he was a prophet. He was a prophet, meaning he was a leader of mankind. One of the best leaders of mankind. And for him to say that he was a wrongdoer, for him to say that it was my mistake, this is something we need to now acknowledge. In the Ummah today, we keep saying it's his fault, it's his fault, it's his fault. But when do we start saying it's our fault? When do we start saying that? Now subhanAllah, if you continue the story of Yunus alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needed to hear this so that he can then be saved from the acid of the stomach. And eventually he was rescued, he was thrown out of the whale. Right? He had to say that to submit himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had to himself realize that it was his own doing. In Islam, our relationship with what's happening today is metaphysical. In Islam, whatever we do, whatever our actions are, our sayings are, some of it is reflected in this dunya. And we have to reciprocate accordingly to make sure that we're trying to please Allah to the best of our abilities. These disasters happen for a reason. They come as warnings. Deaths come as a reason. They come as warnings. Why? Because there's a metaphysical relationship between what the Ummah is doing today and what are the conditions that are taking place today. Now, I wanted to focus on 3 different types of audiences because I really feel that the Ummah itself needs to have a lot of self-reformation. We need to start working and addressing certain issues to raise this Ummah where it should be. The first thing that we need to start addressing is the concept of how the parent and the child relationship is working nowadays. This is the first thing. Now, and this is now more towards the older generation. I'm talking 40 plus, right? I'm talking to the parents out there. If you understand there are 2 key issues. If you look at the Ummah today, there seems to be a big divide between the parents and the youth. Too much of a difference, way too much of a difference. And as a result, there's no connection. And we need to address 2 key things. Parents need to start working on 2 key things with their own children. The first thing is they need to start building a rapport with their own children. How many times today did you ever pick up a PlayStation with your child and play some football? How many times did you ever pick up a racket and play with your son or your daughter? How many times did you build up that just basic relationship with your child? Because if you look at it today, we're giving them this mobile phones, internet, and they're becoming more and more disconnected from us. The parents are becoming more and more disconnected from their children. And this is going to be a severe problem when they grow up. Because the more disconnected they are in their youth with you, the more disconnected they're going to be when you need them in the future. Right? So we need to start building up that rapport with your children. We need to start building up a simple relationship. Simple relationship. The second thing, Islamic knowledge. This is something that's beyond belief today, absolutely beyond belief. Nowadays, we live in such a practical cycle, such a dunya-oriented cycle. Education, work, marriage, money, etc. And then deen is somewhere at the bookshelf. Now, we seem to have a current drive where we just teach our children basic dua, the salah, and that's it. Our job is done. That's it, khalas. That's all we got to do. But if you have this mindset, you are completely naive. I am telling you, the parents today are completely naive. Because you can ask any one of the youth today, including myself and the brothers and sisters here. Ask any one of them. Their parents have no idea what they face every day. Absolutely no idea. You may know your children completely inside out, what they like, what they dislike. But the social pressures, the social temptations they face today, you have no clue about. And for you to just give them these basic, to learn the salah, they don't care what it means, just learn basic dua, you don't need to learn the Quran, that's it. But then you're giving them all this effort, all the resources on university life, on practical life, while Islam is being cried out on the shelf. What's going to happen to your child? Recall the story of Bersisa. He was a man of taqwa, right? He was a man of taqwa, and they didn't have the current day and age technology. They didn't have that. But yet shaitan drove him so much into the bottom of hellfire, he died as a mushrik. And this was a man of taqwa. Nowadays we have mobile phones, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, all these social networks where temptation is beyond anything. Beyond anything. And for you to give them just a basic drop of information knowledge, of Islamic knowledge, how do you think they're going to cope in today's world? How do you think they're going to cope, right? SubhanAllah, this is, if you look at the stories of the Prophets, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Yusuf alayhi salam, in most of the commentaries of the Yusuf Islam story, he was 9 to 11 years old. He was just a small boy. He was just a small boy, right? When he had a dream about the stars prostrating to him, about the sun prostrating to him, about the moon prostrating to him, who did he go up to? He went up to his own father. Now, just basic family dynamics. Boys generally go to their mothers if they need help or advice. Generally, right? Daughters generally go to their fathers. It's just a general case, right? Just a general case. And I would only go to my father if I needed some practical help. Like, oh, a bully beat me today, I need some money. That's the only reason I go for. But Yusuf alayhi salam, imagine the type of relationship he must have had with his father, that he didn't even go to speak to his mother, but he went straight to his father to talk about a dream. How cool must Yaqub alayhi salam must have been? How cool must that relationship been? Right? That's basic rapport with your parents. Basic rapport. Right? How much do we strive for that today? Right? How much do we strive? That's why there's a huge discord. We don't even have a basic relationship with our parents. Right? Number 2, look at, if you read Surah Al-Baqarah, an absolutely beautiful verse in Surah Al-Baqarah. Ibrahim alayhi salam and Yaqub alayhi salam, what did they say to their children when they were dying, in their dying phase? Who are you going to worship after me? Did they say be a PC student? Did they say you're good, make sure that you look after the money, after the house, or the business like we do today? No. They said, who are you going to worship after I die? And they all responded, we're going to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many of us think like this today? We are becoming so dunya orientated. Cycle after cycle after cycle. Where is the deen today? What are you teaching your kids today? At the end of the day, parents are the leaders of their flock. And your kids come under your flock. So make sure you give them that inspiration and the knowledge of Islam. Now, I give tuition to a 6-year-old kid. His name is Ismail, just like the Prophet Ismail, right? And he's very, very, crazy little boy, very hyped up, right? And I feel like I'm getting away from the youth now, transitioning into the parent phase, slowly. And subhanAllah, he's telling me all these crazy things about the current cartoons, Batman, Superman, and whatever, right? And then his mom hit him, an incident happened, and he started crying. So then I went up to him, and then we talked. He was in a dark room. He was, you know how children, they hit themselves, yeah? So I talked to him, and then I just started talking, just building that basic connection. It's like, so what sort of cartoons do you like? He's saying Power Rangers, Batman, etc. And they can do all these cool powers and stuff. Now, here's a story for all of you to learn. You know we have a current tradition of reading bedtime stories. How many parents here read the stories of the prophets in a manner that they're addicted to them? Let me give you an example like I'm doing now. Ismail, this little boy. I come up to him, okay, you know all these superheroes you have? There's a much, much better superhero than all of these. And he's like, who, tell me. You know, they get excited. And I told him, I know one man who beat a king, an Egyptian king, with just a stick. I was like, yeah, really? Tell me. And then I told him the story of Musa alayhi salam. And he was excited. He was excited. So how much do we do this with our children? Right? And he learned the story by heart. I asked him, what's the name of the king? Pharaoh. What's the name of the prophet? Musa. What did he do? Magic. All these things. It's now built in his head. And he wants it more and more. How many times do we do that with our children today? We need to stop teaching them blind Muslim followings. And we need to teach them how to love Islam. That's what we need to start doing. Right? These are the two issues that the parents need to start addressing. The second audience that I will address, and this is specifically to those individuals who are not as practicing, who think of themselves as bad Muslims, or Allah will never forgive them, that sort of stuff. You guys need a wake-up call. You guys need a wake-up call. Fine. If you didn't get any Islamic knowledge from your parents or whatever your circumstances, that's fine. You cannot start blaming anyone except yourself now. You cannot start blaming society for what it's done to you. If you want to make a change, it starts with you. If you want to become a better Muslim, it starts with you. Stop living in ignorance. Stop delaying Islam coming into your hearts. Don't leave it on the bookshelf, I'm going to become a better practicing Muslim after university life, after I get married, after I do a job. No, this is not the case anymore. You have to look and address the question seriously right here, right now. Right here, right now. And this is how you do it. Ask yourself the question, how many of you are here as Muslims just because your father or your mother are Muslims? How many of you are here because of that reason? Would it be the case that if your father or mother were Buddhist, you would have been a Buddhist? This is just a cultural routine for you. Praying is just a cultural routine for you. You're doing it just because your parents are doing it. How many of you actually believe in what you do? Why do you come to Jum'ah prayer? Why do you pray? These are questions you need to start asking yourself. And subhanAllah, 1 week ago, I read up on a very, very powerful lecture by Shaykh Hamza Yusuf. And he said a very deep rhetorical statement, it really shook me up personally. He said that I am sick and tired of defending of the Muslims today. Sick and tired of defending the Muslims today. Because the Muslims today are the ones that are ruining Islam in the first place. Right? Either misrepresentation or ignorance. Lack of ignorance. Sorry, complete ignorance. Right? And he said something, he said, this is the most powerful line he ever said in this entire lecture. He said, and he addressed these people, either stop pretending or start practicing. Stop pretending or start practicing. Either wake up or either be silent. Wake up and realize what is the purpose in this life. Don't treat Islam as just like a backset, it's a culture, I'm going to deal with it whenever I can. Don't let dunya take over your priority of the akhirah. Because if you do, you don't know when you're going to die. And when you die, you're going to suffer the consequences. Make sure that you ask yourself these questions. Wake up. Wake up. Now some of you might think, oh, this khatib, he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know my situation. He doesn't know my circumstances. Yahi, me and all the brothers here, most of the brothers here have a story to tell you. None of us were on the deen since when we started. We all started a few years ago. Even me. Right? I started practicing 3-4 years ago. I wasn't a proper Muslim until I was 21. Right? And if all of us can do it, so can you. So can you. The Islamic society here is for a reason to help you guys. You have questions about Islam, you come to us. Don't just sit there in ignorance. Wake yourselves up. Wake yourselves up. Because enough is enough. We need to start becoming proactive Muslims. We need to start living the deen for what it is teaching us to be. This dunya cycle again and again and again. Job, wife, marriage, wealth, whatever. All these are built in our head. But the bookshelf, the Quran, the symbol of life is left rotting in the bookshelf for us. And this is wrong. We need to switch our mentality. We need to switch this mentality. Now, the third thing I want to address, and this is the concept of the differences in how we treat our brothers and sisters. Last week after the khutbah, right? I had to rush down and I had to pretty much get home because I was busy. But subhanAllah, as I was going down, I met a brother. This brother I hardly know. I just meet him once or twice as an acquaintance in the masjid. That's it. His name is Brother Mahmoud. He's from Turkey. And I didn't know him before. He didn't know me before. And he comes to me with the warmest smile in my face and he gives me the Arabic kiss, you know. In Arabic, and in the Arab lands, this is normal. This is absolutely normal. But when it happens in UK, you're a little taken back sometimes. So I was now accustomed to this in this country at the moment. So subhanAllah, he comes to me. And then this brother says, "How are you, brother? Assalamu alaikum, brother." And he had this huge smile on his face. And I fell in love with this brother. Sorry, brothers, can you just move up, please? We need to start loving our brothers who are late. Inshallah, please, please. Okay, and I fell in absolute love with this brother. Because he, without even knowing me, without even labeling me, he opened up his heart to me. And we started discussing, and then he introduced me to another Turkish brother. His name was Brother Hajj. And we got along. And wallah, in 5 minutes after talking to this guy, 5 minutes, he invited, "Brother, please have lunch with us." And subhanAllah, this for me shows the element of brotherhood in Islam. The element of beauty in Islam. Subhanallah. If you look at today, we have the most stupid, wallahi stupid grudges today. India versus Pakistan, Kurdistan versus Turkey, all this and that, etc., etc., etc. All this national pride, all this cultural stupid pride. For what? What is this going to help you? On the day of Arafah, when you're in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are you going to be raising the flag of Pakistan? Are you going to be raising the flag of India, Nigeria, Iraq? What flag? No flag but Iman. No flag but Iman. This is the key point. Right? Remember that the khutbah I told you last time. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. The blood, believers are but brothers. But brothers. The key uniting point for all of us is our iman. Not our culture. Not our pride. Not our arrogance. If you start implementing this in your life, the world will be in a much better place. Otherwise, you're following the steps of Iblis. Because all it comes down to is arrogance. He thought he was better than mankind. He thought he was made of fire, which is stronger than clay. But that is not the case. Our differences will always exist, that's fine. Appreciate them, respect them. But the key point between me, you, and all of you here is Iman. And that's it. That's the most I think these three things are the pillars on how we can improve ourselves as an ummah. How we can improve ourselves as an ummah. Just to go over the tafsir of Surah Fatiha. Surah Fatiha is the most beautiful surah you can ever recite because it's been declared as the thing you recite in the Quran and the Salah, and it's also the very first chapter of the Quran. Now, implicitly within Surah Fatiha, implicitly you have two things you need to be successful. Knowledge and action. If you think about Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, right? This is when Allah SWT is establishing His mastery over all His servants. But is it not true that a master can have different relationship with his servants? Of course, yes. So you all have a unique relationship with your master. Second of all, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the mercy of Allah. Is it not true that you have different mercies to me? He has much better wealth than me. He has a much better house than me. He has a much better wife than me, etc. We all have different mercies. And then Malik Yawmiddin. It is also true that on the Day of Judgment, your hisab is going to be different to mine and mine will be different to yours. Then look at the last three verses. Allah SWT says, Ihdina, guide us. Guide us to the straight path. Now the question is, why do we say guide us in Surah Fatiha when this is a salah between you and Allah alone? Why? Why do we say guide us? It should be Ihdi, guide me. Why do we say guide us? Because Allah SWT is implicitly telling us that we need to act collectively to be successful. So the first three verses, they tell us that knowledge and iman, it comes from us individually. So we need those two things. We need knowledge to become better Muslims. But now when it comes to acting, we need to come and act as a brotherhood. Now knowledge, the first school you ever come through are your parents. Your parents are your first schools. And that's why where the hadith comes from, it is your parents who make you a Zoroastrian, a Jewish or a Christian or a Muslim. Right? Everyone has a natural fitrah they're born with. But it's their parents or their circumstances that changes into their religion. So we need to start, the parents need to start building up a picture, an Islamic picture, Islamic vision for their parents. Right? And the youth, they need to start getting more engaged with Islam. You cannot just leave it at the left-hand side. It's like, yep, I'm going to deal with that later. No! It's here and now, buddy. Here and now. The second part, brotherhood. Brotherhood is only going to start when you let your differences go and you let your unity come together, right? I have personally met brothers from everywhere, from Chechnya, from Maldives, from South Africa, from Egypt, whatever. All of them are the same in my eyes. I'm Pakistani. I don't care if you're Indian. I don't care that at all. But unfortunately nowadays, we have all this stupid drama between all these countries. Just because of political differences or, cultural differences. This is not the case. If Iman comes and settles in your heart, that's it. End of story. Live with it and deal with it. We cannot let culture seep into our deen. We cannot let nationalistic pride seep into our deen. This is wrong. If we do, then shaitan has already won. Shaitan has already won. So we need to start becoming mature Muslims. Mature Muslims. And we need to start reprogramming our psychology, inshallah. I hope that inshallah Allah can make us better parents. And inshallah, may Allah make us better servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah protect our youth and our children. Protect them from harm and all the different fitna that is out there. May Allah give us all the knowledge to become successful in this life and the akhirah. And may Allah give us the strength and the patience and the endurance so that we can act as one Islam. That we can act under one Ummah. And not let these differences divide us. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار.